This week on BNN, we check out the NECBL All-Star game hosted by the Steeplecats, talk to local officials about the Paris Climate Agreement, and state rep candidate Stephanie Bosley joins us to talk about her platform. That's all coming up next on Berkshire News Now.
Hello and welcome to the August 1st episode of Berkshire News Now. I'm Samantha Niskern. We start this week with a development on local politics. Former North Adams Mayor John Barrett III announced that he will be running for the 1st Berkshire District in the State House of Representatives. Barrett joins an increasingly crowded race for the seat that once belonged to the late Gail Ann Caridi, including Caridi's former aide, Kevin Towell, who worked for Caridi for almost a year. I had the chance to attend the most recent City Council meeting and was able to talk to a few other candidates for local office.
City Councilor Robert Moulton is making his second run for mayor. With a born and raised in North Adams background, Moulton stressed his concern for the taxpayers of the city.
I've been born, brought up here. I've been a business person here. I've lived here all my life, 3-generation business. I'm really concerned with the taxpayers, the people who live here. We have great assets. We have Mass MoCo, we have MCLA, and they can kind of take care of themselves, but I'm worried about the everyday person who goes out there and pays taxes and lives here every day.
Rebecca Cohen, who was also in attendance at the last City Council meeting, is running to join the council. Cohen spoke about her experiences with Tunnel City Transport and how they've prepared her for office.
I think that just working in general in Berkshire County and having a master's in business is really going to make me a well-rounded when it comes to being able to answer questions that come forth for the City Council. Tunnel City Transport has to do with transportation in Berkshire County, and as everybody knows, we're at a detriment at this point and really have an issue with transportation. So I am there to make sure that the citizens are accessible to transportation and have what they need to get around the town.
The general election is in November with the primary October 10th. The council meeting addressed multiple issues such as the sale of Windsor Mill and the upkeep of Blackington Cemetery.
On July 25th, the North Adams City Council welcomed Wayne Wilkinson back into office. Wilkinson was sworn in for the remaining 6 months of former councilor Nancy Bullett's term. The meeting continued with the council authorizing Mayor Richard Alcombright to enter a purchase and sales agreement for Windsor Mill. The council also authorized the city to take control of the Blackington Cemetery in order to keep up with groundskeeping.
BNN will go more in depth with Blackington Cemetery next episode. Joining us now is State Representative candidate Stephanie Bosley. Stephanie, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me, Samantha.
First, let me start off by asking a little bit about your background. How has your education with UMass Amherst and UMass Boston prepared you for this position? And are there any other experiences that you've had that make you feel like you're prepared for the seat?
Sure. So at UMass Amherst, I studied political science, and that gave me a good kind of baseline understanding of political science. While I was there, although the education was wonderful, I really think that some of my experiences helped me to really gain a better understanding of politics and public policy. I had the opportunity to do a semester-long internship in Washington, D.C. at Black Women United for Action. It's a grassroots organization that works in housing communities with low-income single mothers to help them kind of figure out what they want to do as a next step. Some of them did GEDs, some of them did higher education, some of them needed help filling out job applications and things of that nature. And there I really was able to work with them and kind of see that although they had these goals where they wanted to get a GED or higher education, there really were a lot of other factors that went into that. So they had to think of how that would affect their housing, how that would affect childcare, how they would get to their GED test or their higher education. And so when I kind of look at public policy, now I kind of look at these bigger picture items that go into a public policy need. While I was there, I also did a semester-long class in grassroots community organizing, which was focused on social justice. So it really was looking at oppression, looking at your own privilege, and we did a semester-long internship, or a semester-long community spring break at a impoverished community in Virginia. And when I kind of think back to UMass Amherst, I think that those experiences really added to the education that I was receiving in political science. From there, I did an AmeriCorps service with the former Cody Youth Center. And again, it kind of gave me that big picture understanding of kids came to our youth center every day to get homework help and to have a summer program that they could attend. But there were a lot of factors that contributed to them coming there. So they often came from low-income families. They were looking for lunch and dinner. And so that kind of, again, showed me that you can have a program or a service, but there are a lot of factors that factor into that program or that service.
And it sounds like you certainly have a lot of experience, but do you still feel like you have big shoes to fill by following in your father's footsteps?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he was state representative for 24 years, so that comes with a lot of understanding and experience, but it also kind of gave me an advantage that I spent a lot of time at the State House. I made a lot of connections, and I also had a lot of conversations about public policy at the dinner table. We often debated and talked about things that were happening at the State House, and it also gave me a real appreciation and affection for the Northern Berkshire community.
And you said one of the biggest platforms on your website has to do with transportation. Could you share with us some of the visions that you have to make transportation more accessible for everyone in the area?
Sure. So I think that one of the things that I would like to be a part of is the Rural Transportation Caucus. They have had some kind of big picture thinking that I think, and some creative thinking that I think would help with transportation needs. They, in the past, have thought of federal funding being matched by the Mass Pike funds, the Easy Pass funds. I think that those are kind of the creative funding needs that we have to come up with to fix our transportation needs. I also think that an express bus to Pittsfield would be great for the Northern Berkshire community, and that could be fulfilled by maybe having some smaller vans and smaller bus transportation to Pittsfield and also to some of the hill towns that may not be served right now.
What do you think about job opportunities and retention in the area? How can we bring jobs in and then keep them here?
Yeah, so I think working with some of our educational opportunities here. So obviously we have MCLA and Williams, making sure that there are career pipelines. So matching the education that people are receiving with job opportunities in the area and encouraging them to stay. I think that, you know, a lot of the things that we're discussing, like transportation and housing, goes into that. So making sure that the infrastructure is there so that young people can stay when they come to the area.
Of course. Well, I'm sorry to cut you off, but that's all the time we have for right now. Stephanie, thank you so much for speaking with us today. I really appreciate it. If you would like to learn more about Stephanie, you can visit bosleyforstaterep.com. Sunday, July 30th, the Steeplecats hosted the 2017 NECBL All-Star game at Joe Wolf Field. BNN attended the event to cover all the highlights.
Sunday, July 30th, Joe Wolf Field in North Adams hosted the New England Collegiate Baseball League's All-Star game. Over 2,300 fans from all over the area made their way to the stands in the 80-degree weather, sporting freeze pops to keep cool. Though the game started after 5, fans gathered much earlier in the day to watch the MLB Prospect Showcase, All-Star batting practice, as well as a 60-yard dash and derby contests. Merchandise, food, and beer vendors all added to the excitement of the game, giving children a chance to cool off with some ice cream and adults a chance to cool off with beer. Nicholas Maselli, a shortstop for the Mystic Schooners, played for the South All-Star team. When asked about the atmosphere of the game, Maselli replied that he felt much less pressure and was having fun while still trying his hardest to bring home a victory. The game started with the North team gaining a 5-0 lead, with 3 of the 5 runs coming as home runs from Sanford's Colby Maiola and Upper Valley's Luke Reynolds. The Southern Division chipped their way back into the game and eventually tied up the 5-5 score with a solo home run in the 9th inning by Plymouth's Hernan Sardines. Maiola was named the game's MVP with a 3-for-3 effort. The Steeplecats' home schedule concluded Monday the 31st, facing off against the Valley Blue Sox. The Steeplecats' final 2017 game will be Tuesday the 1st against Mystic at 6:05 p.m. at Fitch High.
Feel like playing it safe tonight? Then head down to Knoll Field in North Adams for their annual National Night Out Party. The event starts at 4 p.m. and is free for everyone. There will be food, safety activities, and a chance to speak with safety personnel about making the community more secure. Tonight you could also check out the Williams College Town Fieldhouse, where Williamstown will host their National Night Out Party. The party starts at 5:30 and ends at 7:30. There will be exercise and bike safety discourse, an ice cream lottery, and crafts for kids. The Adams Board of Health is looking to clean up the town, hoping to inspire some community pride to combat littering. The Northern Berkshires might be a long way from Paris, but officials are still looking to take care of the environment. I had a chance to speak with city councilors at the most recent meeting about climate change and the Paris Climate Agreement.
President Trump announced in early June that the United States would be withdrawing from the Paris Climate Agreement in order to better serve the needs of the American people. TV personalities such as Jimmy Kimmel, John Oliver, and Trevor Noah have since jumped at the opportunity to mock the president once again, this time for climate change. Now the United States is one of only 3 countries not participating in the agreement, along with Nicaragua and Syria. With the global climate rising at an alarming rate, local government officials are stepping up to pick up the slack. North Adams City Councilor Eric Buddington shared his thoughts on the responsibilities that communities still have to the environment.
I think it's obviously, since we're out of the agreement, it's essential for cities to take on the responsibility.
Vincent Melito, a former city councilor, spoke about the impact that humans have had on the environment, citing that an overwhelming majority of scientists disagree with Trump's claim that climate change is a hoax.
And we know that over 95% of well-known scientists disagree with that position and say that man has made a good contribution to global warming.
Buddington continued, sharing some of the luxuries that would come naturally by taking care of the environment.
In addition, a lot of environmental improvements are quality of life improvements at the same time. There's a lot you get for free with environmental benefits. You get cleaner air, you get nicer streets, you get more trees. You get more efficient buildings, you get less costly heating.
Mayors are on the front lines of impacting communities, which is why over 300 have joined the Climate Protection Agreement. The agreement strives to meet Kyoto Protocol targets in their own communities, urge state and federal governments to enact policies to meet the greenhouse gas emissions reduction target suggested for the United States, as well as to urge the United States Congress to pass the bipartisan greenhouse gas reduction legislation. Though the United States has withdrawn from the agreement, many officials are taking matters into their own hands, like Governor Charlie Baker, who joined the governors of Vermont, California, Washington, and New York in creating the United States Climate Alliance. If climate change is left unchecked, by the year 2100, the climate would be well past the 2-degree threshold, risking hitting the tipping point in which the impact of climate change would be irreversible.
Governor Charlie Baker signed a law regulating recreational marijuana after state legislators have struggled to move forward. Adults over the age of 21 will still be able to smoke marijuana and grow up to 6 plants per person or 12 per household. Residents will be able to possess up to an ounce outside of their homes and up to 10 inside. Under the new law, recreational marijuana will be taxed from 17 to 20% depending on where it's sold. Medical marijuana will continue to be sold untaxed. A North Adams man was accused of critically stabbing a Domino's delivery driver 2 weeks ago. 24-year-old Travis Paris was charged with armed assault to murder, armed and mass robbery, and assault and battery with a dangerous weapon. Lanesboro Board of Selectmen set November 14th as the date for the town's special meeting regarding regionalization of the Lanesboro-Williamstown schools and whether or not they should join Mount Greylock Regional as a single K-12 district. If approved, the transition will take 18 months starting at the new year. The Williamstown Zoning Board is looking into the college's applications for permits to construct a new inn and reconfigure the public parking lot at the end of Spring Street. The board scheduled a site visit at 4:30 and a meeting at 7 on Monday, August 21st to continue deliberation and possibly vote on the permit. Spring Street currently hosts aspects of the Williamstown Theater Festival, restaurants like The Log presenting comedians, musicians, and actors. The theater festival continues all summer long with plenty of shows and events to look forward to. For more information, you can visit their website at wtfestival.org. President Burge of MCLA announced today that the college has received a $50,000 planning grant from the Andrew W. Mellon Foundation in order to establish a Berkshire Humanities Council. The work will focus on creating a model for a digital asset map, define experiential-based learning, and form undergraduate research opportunities, as well as outline a humanities fellowship program which MCLA will host. That's it for this week. You can keep in touch with BNN by following us on Twitter and Facebook. If you have any story ideas, email them to bnn.nbctc@gmail.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.